I'm Tariq Bokhari. I am a city councilman in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm the founder of the Carolina FinTech Hub. I wanted to relay a quick update from the city of Charlotte. We're the 16th largest city in the nation, and just give you 3 lessons that we've learned over the last year or two as it relates to e-scooters and scooter share. The first lesson in our journey here in Charlotte was government can't be the customer. The rider has to be made the customer. And I think that that's best kind of envisioned in the way we've seen some city rollouts across the nation and globe where it hasn't gone so well, where you see the headlines reading that, again, the carrier of the scooters and the governments are at arms with each other. And I think this happens too often when government kind of puts itself in the middle as the client. We've been very particular in Charlotte to try to not make us the ultimate client that companies like Bird or Lime or Spin or others are trying to appease and make happy. We want to be an important intermediary, but we want that rider, the ones who decide every day, I like the way this company does business, I like the way this company innovates, to be the ones who decide with their money, with who they choose on their app to ride with each day, to be that ultimate customer, because then the scooter companies themselves are looking directly at that user base with a lot of their R&D time and their expansion goals, not necessarily just at the governments who have the permits to hand out. So I think that's been a very important lesson we've learned in Charlotte. The second one is trust the market forces. And really don't try, again, this builds on that first one of allow the rider to be the customer. Trust those market forces and incentivize the desired behaviors you want with the carrot. And once again, one of the greatest incentive tools that we have in this space as governments is how we go about giving fees and pricing structures alongside the permits that we hand out for scooter companies to operate in our cities. So we focused on 4 areas that we really wanted to see next level growth, next level innovation in. And those are: 1, location. What part of town are these scooters parked in? Are they parked in the right places? 2, duration. How long are they parked there? This is really important because they're being parked in the public right-of-way, and we want to make sure we maximize the length of time that it's being parked there. Number 3 is placement. When it's parked in the right-of-way, is it right in the middle, or is it placed in a place that's ADA compliant, and it goes along the flow of what we're trying to do with broader mobility and pedestrian transportation in the area? And then finally, 4 is safety. You know, we want to make sure that safety is first and foremost. It's on a lot of our citizens' minds. How we're going about incentivizing these things is very important. So we put a program in place, again, allowing the scooter companies to come in and do what they need to do and put the customer at the center of their business model, but also letting them know that using a dynamic pricing model that we value location, duration, placement, and safety. And when they innovate in those areas and allow us to be able to show wins first in the country, first in the globe, to put out certain enhancements around scooter location, duration, placement, and safety, we reward them with a dynamic pricing model that then allows them to have to pay less in overall dollars and revenue into the city they're operating. And finally, what that also enables us to do is reward them with a cap, a dynamic cap, the ability for us to say, the ultimate rider is your customer. As long as you do these things and promote and innovate in those areas, and you have a 3-to-1, that's 3 rides per day per each scooter you have on the street, you can have up to a dynamic cap. And I think that's really important because the scooter companies, what they are really looking for today is how is it that we can get more of our scooters on the streets where they're needed so more people are riding them, especially in months like now where we're in spring, summer, and fall. This is the peak of it. They really want the most assets on the streets as possible. So we enable them through our dynamic pricing and our dynamic cap model to be able to reach those goals while putting the customer at the center of their model. And that brings me to the third and final lesson we've learned is you can't manage what you can't measure. And I think this one's really important because you can do all those other things I talked about, But if you simply state it in policy that we'd like this, and you have no way of knowing where the scooters are, knowing how safety is being enacted, and knowing that you can invoice or also hold accountable those that are doing those things, you're not able to properly implement the program. So that's why we found a partner, our local homegrown company, Passport, in our own backyard, who's done such great work already in working with municipalities, doing stuff with parking and with payments. And we approached them and said, hey, we're trying to figure out a model we've come up with that we don't know how to automate. We don't know how to measure and enforce. And that's where that partnership came to play, where right now we're in the final steps of our pilot of this, where we can invoice particularly around the location and the duration, again, monetizing and coding our curb, the public right-of-way that these scooter companies rely so heavily on. So I hope those 3 lessons that we've learned over the last couple years are relevant and mean something to you in either the municipalities you're representing, or if you're a scooter company or someone in the market that's part of this and a stakeholder, knowing that when we all work together to achieve the ultimate outcomes, which are alternative forms of transportation, pushing the envelope on safety, but also pushing the envelope on innovation, we can all really win.